now know that you are on the other side of these mountains. You are over here. And Skava, just so Skava knows, or Helma knows about Skava, that forest right there is Skava's home.
Well, they're on the side of the mountain range.
And on this side is a completely different culture because these mountains are an effective barrier, and this island dominates this entire region with these shores here, and then this waterway penetrating into there. So this is an entirely different, if you will, a different land. So, but you are still up high in the mountains up here. You are not really part of this culture yet, if you go there. And that is effectively where you have, once you are able to look at the stars and to orient yourself properly, you're able to realize where you are on the continent, more or less. And that should be a little bit of clarity for everyone.
But was the island the same, not religion, but cult as this part of the sea, or is it too different?
No, the cults that you are familiar with, the way they are arranged anyway, are very much this region.
Okay.
And I would...
Those mountains were a boundary,
yeah.
right?
And so this triangle right here is its own cultural unit.
Okay.
But in many ways, this is using the logic of the ancient world, where if you go to Persia from ancient Greece, you realize that the mythologies are all nested inside one another. And so it's not very hard they may be telling the stories a little bit differently. Or they may tell you that city is not where that happened. You just made that up. We all know it happened in this city right here. So things like that. Okay. So there are some differences, and perhaps there are emphases on gods and things that are very different, like who is the most important god and stuff like that. But at present, this is actually not very well known. We do have 2 scholars in the group, so there's a chance to know more. But at the moment, as I say, you are up here in the mountains, and there is not much chance to research or investigate anything. Okay. So that is our situation. So the first thing is that you are not very well prepared for your to be out here in the mountains, in the forests, and the nights. None of you have brought your any kind of equipment. You're leaving the temple. Back then was an unplanned event, and
I still think Zord has the good thing with him.
No.
He was very good enough. I mean, I have a feeling he would have grabbed everything before coming to the temple.
In other words, when he ran over.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. He might have grabbed everything. That's true.
Because he had a lamp when we were in the tunnels.
Right. Okay. So the only consideration now is to work your way through the mountains, to find some sort of main waterway or some way to get into more traveled area. And it's not too hard. But the spaces you are in are not traveled by humans very much. And so there are no shrines to the woods one. There are no small villages or farms. There are no tracks or paths for people to take their wagons through this area. And if anything, the presence of if there are any signs of people living in these region, then it is probably the insect people. So that's your situation at the moment.
Even though they're very keen on eating us, I'm not very keen on eating them.
And I got their blood on me.
That's true. Yes.
But yeah, that did a pretty good job trying to appease somebody.
Do we see any paths from animals leading downhill or something that could lead to a water or stream?
This is where we rely on our expert.
Okay.
Let's see. So we assume we have daylight by now.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of talked about the question up or down.
Correct.
Crap.
Is it just above?
Yes.
66.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So-
pretty much just about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So-
I'm lost here. I mean, I probably realize which mountains this is by now,
That's about it. Yes.
but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't even look the same from this side.
Was it the throne I had last time?
So sorry,
Was it
guys.
the?
No
throne?
idea.
Yes, you succeeded in increasing your throne skill. Did
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, I
just
wrote this
wanted
stuff
to
down. Wait. Remember, I
sure.
took some records.
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
I remember that I improved jack shit.
Did
Don't
you?
remember.
No, I didn't improve anything.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you did a bunch of things, but you
Yep.
didn't have any luck. Now we have the difficulty of maintaining your food and staying warm and staying safe as you go through these areas. Being lost doesn't help, and so.
There was a suggestion direction downhill.
Yes. Mhm. Yeah, I
So-
understand. Yeah, but as you know, as you are trying to travel down through valleys and things, that you can get into a place where you can't get out easily, and you have to go back up onto the ridge and come down a different way alongside it instead of just down through the waterway, and it's that kind of an experience.
Okay.
A lot of trying to figure out how to get through the right way. And so the only, let's see.
Are we
We
so
have-
high up that we can see the sea or the water?
Let's see, from here.
Is it
Yeah.
or is it still wooded or?
You are in these mountains, and it is not close enough to the ocean
Okay.
for you to just look down and see it.
Okay.
And these are extensive enough. This is a big enough area that you are just seeing more mountains to the edge of the sky. So now as long as you're out there, well, one of the sites that you will encounter, which you do not need to roll for because it is impossible to miss, are incredibly loud, moving, well, they are footsteps, but they are very big. And so the first thing you will hear is the sound of something crushing incredible amounts of material as it moves on the other side of this low set of mountains that you are next to.
On the other side of...
Mhm.
Oh.
Do we
I have to admit, I'm curious. I rather
curious.
know than not know.
You know what, just for a good safety measure, let's just use detect enemies.
Okay, go ahead, and you do.
Yes. Take 1 power. And what do I detect?
You do not detect enemies. whatever it is seems either to be unaware of you, or if it is aware of you, it doesn't care.
Okay.
Do
Well,
any of
it's-
us have any knowledge of what kind of creatures might be moving around in this area?
Well, why don't you make your general knowledge? Is that local knowledge? Yeah.
Therefore,
Yeah.
with these two. 38.
Okay, all right. And the legends of terrifying giants from that served as guards or as guardians, and which were extremely important in some of the old legends and early stories. But most of them are treated, where you are from, they are treated as kids' stories, and obviously they didn't have to have a basis in fact. So for this to actually be one of those is a little bit like being, it's a little bit like saying, well, yes, there's an old story about a guy who fought a lion whose skin was so hard it couldn't be penetrated by weapons, but we all know that's just a story and the guy probably just killed a lion. But that's how you know those stories.
Okay.
Oh, I want to check that out.
I tell them about that story because it comes to mind.
I want to see that.
Yeah, and if
Absolutely.
anything else, I mean,
We haven't
Doesn't
got
seem-
anything else to do. So.
it doesn't seem that.
We can be careful.
Yeah,
So?
it probably.
When we
hopefully,
see
won't
them,
attack
we'll
us.
be above them, right?
Hopefully.
So,
Not necessarily. If they're big.
Let's take a look at
I
the
will
sneak
see.
rolls.
Yeah, let's be.
yes, please.
Okay.
How are we doing?
6 and I got 50.
Nope.
so-
Bad.
Bad.
No, you guys all make a whole ton of noise.
Not that easy going uphill.
Mhm.
Why didn't I learn anything from the last time we were in the mountains?
Yeah.
You mean when we're sneaking around and.
Yeah, that went really well too, as I recall.
Yes, I
Right.
know. Right now, I'm realizing that.
Now the
Oh.
the effect. The effect for you guys is not as extreme as you may think, because as you travel up through the top of the mountains and are able to get a good look of the valley on the other side, the creature that is there has no interest in you at all. And so therefore your failure to sneak does not involve it. So first let me tell you what you see, then we will deal with the consequences of the roll as far as something else is concerned.
Sounds good.
Okay. And so the first thing that I will tell you is that you see an enormous person, but this person is not made of flesh. It is made more of stone and is so enormous that it seems absolutely impossible that it could possibly move or support its own weight. Its proportions are not normal because it sort of needs to support its own weight. So its legs are very short and it's very broad compared to a real person. But it otherwise has it's not very detailed, so it's not as though you can see muscles or anything underneath skin or anything like that. It's more like an enormous statue or a construct of some kind. And it is moving through the valley. And sometimes it just stops completely. All right?
So it's more of a statue than a boulder.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. It is humanoid, although not properly
Yeah. Okay.
proportioned.
It is fascinating.
It is really enormous. It's
So-
like a mountain of its own.
do we make of that?